I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from the Black Business School in Your Life World. You know who I am, but who I am does not matter right now because it's the person that I'm bringing to you that matters the most in this discussion. His name is Marcus Klein. Marcus is a person who has solutions. You got a lot of Black folks out here complaining. You see a lot of people that can tell you what the problem is. They can tell you about the school to prison pipeline. They can recite a long list of Negro tragedies that are occurring on a daily basis with our children. They can complain about the school teachers. They can do a whole lot of that. But when you say, okay, so what's the solution? What's the solution? They don't have an answer. Well, this brother right here has an answer. He has a solution. And he's not just got one that he's talked about or one that he has conceptualized. He's got one that he has implemented and has made successful. I want to welcome to Intellectual Chocolate today my good brother from Freedom Homeschool Academy International, Mr. Marcus Klein. How you doing today, man?
I'm good, brother, man. I really appreciate you having me on. I'm great, though.
Hey, brother, I'm very happy to have you. It's a complete honor and a pleasure, man. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. Now I know you're down in Chicago, and I'm about an hour away. I'm a little more suburban now, but I still got my place down on the south side too, where I stay at as well. And I have seen a lot of the problems up close that you've seen. You've seen them more than I have because you're right. I've seen a lot of issues with. Forget the fact that my video went out. Don't worry about that. But I've seen a lot of issues that we talk about on a regular basis. I want to ask you, can you tell me, starting just from the beginning, what you do? Tell me about your school. The basics. And then we'll dig deeper after that.
Okay. Well, my wife and I, we started Freedom Home Academy in our basement of our home. We had a 2-year-old son at the time, so we knew the public school would not be a viable option for him. So we kind of piecemealed the program together. We started in 2007. One of the schools that my son was attending was Afrikan Centered Daycare at the time. So they went out of business. So we asked if we can pass out some flyers for our new venture. She allowed us to. We opened up that January 2007, and we were able to start with 5 students. So we started with 5 students, piecemeal the Afrikan Center program together. My background is business. I had no idea that I would be teaching children at this point. I went to Oakwood College, and after that I went to Rutgers University in New Jersey. My wife, she didn't have a background in education either, but we knew that this type of education that we had intended on giving our son was going to be the end for us. So we had to complete this task. So I had a couple of godchildren downstairs with me. So we started off with 5. We went from 5 in 2007. By the summer, we went from 5 to, I think, 17, 18 students. 1 year then, we went from at 17, 18 to we had 35 in our basement. So we had to move from there, move to a house a couple of blocks down. Then we had the whole house, 3 levels. So we had a little over 60 students there. From there, we went to a basement of a church, still on the south side of Chicago. The program was effective because we were using enhancements for math, science, history, of course, African culture, languages. We did French, Arabic, Swahili. We did Mandarin Chinese. So we were able to offer at I would say a very competitive tuition rate of $125 a week. We were able to offer some parents a little more that the daycare centers in the area were offering, with the languages, the math, and so on. We had extended day. So the hallmark of the program was repetition, duration, and frequency. Of course, culture too, but we implemented all the core subjects we did 3 times a day. So that gave us a need for an extended day from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Of course, we offered vegetarian, vegan. At that time, it was vegetarian. Now we offer vegan diet, but it was vegetarian meals. By 2010, we had a larger building. We were in Roseland at the time. So we went from South Side. We stayed on the South Side. We were in Roseland at this point in 2010. We were a little between 80 and 90 students. We were able to start a smaller school of literacy. We started that school in 2008. because we saw that by the time they got to first grade, they were unable to read. They were unable to be heavy in phonics. They couldn't sound out words and sounds. So we had to take a step back and open up a preschool. That was the school of literacy. We opened that up in 2008. Then we went to still on the south side of Chicago. We still being faced with the same struggles, which is the tuition. So we were having some issues, but the what made us able to sustain was the program. The program was very effective. We had children reading at a 2s and 3s. They were doing high on the test scores. I'm really not a proponent of test scores, but we still take the national tests. Just sometimes to placate and appease the parents, but I'm not a proponent of test scores at all. But we do take nevertheless. So those scores were high, and parents were pretty much satisfied. But the tuition, was an issue. It became an issue when we had a lot of students. So right now we're at a little over 100 students. Four schools at this point. Yeah.
So you and your wife started this school in your basement. You and your wife, I want to make sure I repeat this. And everybody, I'm talking to Marcus Klein. He's the co-founder of Freedom Home Academy International in Chicago, which is an outstanding school. They were actually the first school that we selected for the Felicia T. Cal Academic Excellence Award, named after my grandmother Felicia, who planted the seeds in my life. And we made a tiny donation to the school, which really was a seed to hopefully inspire other people to give. And let me tell you guys why we picked this, why we reached out to this brother. I did not know Marcus Klein. Marcus, please vouch for me, brother. Did we know each other personally?
No.
We did not know each other.
Well, I knew the work. I knew the work that you did from watching you, but no, we had no personal relationship at all.
Right, we knew of each other, and we were just two black men that had mutual respect. And I remember we were sitting there, we were trying to decide what schools, which school we wanted to honor first with the award, and because I've always just believed deeply that we have the ability to educate our own kids. I become offended when people act like we can't do it. And we allow other people to do it badly. We will pay other people to poorly educate our children because we don't believe we have the ability to do right by them. But so what I want to say to everybody here listening is, I want to repeat this to you quickly and slowly, and then I'm going to ask my brother more questions. Listen to me right now when I tell you this. Marcus and his wife started this school in their basement in 2007. 5 kids. Neither one of them, neither Marcus nor his wife had a background in education. Neither one of them did. They weren't trained specifically to do this, but they knew that duty called. They knew that there was something that they had to do to improve their community. So starting in his basement, his brother started this school with 5 children in 2007. Now he's got over 100 kids, and now he's got one of the best schools on the planet. So I want everybody to hear that, so they can, number one, show respect to this man, show respect to his family, show respect to all the people that have helped him build and run this institution, but also show respect to yourself and your community to believe that you can do this. So let me ask you this, brother. I want to ask a question about, you mentioned the tuition challenge. Folks, being able to pay the costs and stuff like that. What is the tuition at Freedom Home Academy International, and what challenges have you kind of run into in terms of costs?
Well, our tuition, since we have 4 schools now, we have a high school here in Chicago as well. So the high school is $100 more, but $500 a month for Freedom Home Academy and School of Literacy. The high school is $600 a month, and that includes books, materials, includes everything except lunch. We have lunch catered in every day, so the parents pay additional costs for the lunch though. But tuition is the flat fee of $600 a month, $7,200 a year. Yeah. So some of the challenges are, I'm not going to say all, of course, but there's a small percentage of single parent families who are struggling. They're having a problem paying tuition. So your donation, of course, well, actually, to be truthful, your donation went toward the opening of the Atlanta school. which is opening this summer, as well as Fort Lauderdale, Florida, actually Miami Gardens to be more precise. So, but we are establishing a scholarship that's going to allow some students to come in from the area where the school is, because, you know, we're on the South Side, and as you know, a lot of our brothers and sisters on the South Side cannot afford the $600 a month. So we have a little scholarship program that we started off. I named it in my late wife's name, the Shai Bachman Klein Scholarship. So people can donate to that, and the goal is to get $36,000 a year. That will enable us to, you know, bring in 6 students full time every year. So that's what we're doing now. So yeah, you know, we do have some parents who are going through some challenges paying tuition. There are some sincere challenges, and then there's others that's not so sincere, but we have some nonetheless, you know.
Well, you know, when I hear you talk about, you know, you mentioned the high school $600 a month, and you said the schools that are not high school level are less, right? About $100 a month less. You know, it's fascinating to me because I saw something somewhere that said that the average new car note is between $450 and $500, right? And a car ain't gonna be worth nothing in about 5-6 years. I mean, car's value starts dropping the minute you drive it off the lot. It drops to worthlessness. You know, now I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad about the fact that they might want a new car, but you know, when you compare a car that's going to be worthless in about 5 years to a strong education, which will have tremendous value over the next 40, 50 years, I don't think comparison, right? And I think that just kind of understanding that's really important. In fact, also you talk about tuition being about $7,200 a year. The average American spends almost $3,000 a year on fast food, you know, just going out to eat and stuff like that. You know, and so when I'm hearing from Freedom Home Academy International, which is a school I heard about because you were doing such amazing things. I mean, this brother, I didn't bring this brother in because, you know, I'm hooking up a friend, or, you know, he just asked me, hey boys, can you know, no. I reached out to you because your work was so extraordinary and people had told me about it. And I said, okay, well, how can I help? You know, so, you know, let me throw this at you, man. You know, I'm thinking about, you mentioned, you know, raising $36,000 a year. You know, what's fascinating is that $36,000 ain't even a drop in the bucket for a lot of white institutions. You know what I mean? You know, it's not a drop in the bucket. And in fact, I'd be willing to bet you that people that just watch this video, if everybody from this video just goes and makes some kind of contribution right now, that money will be covered for the whole year. And I personally know that I know what I'm going to do. I'm definitely going to step out and make another contribution, because there's nothing more important than educating Black children. So let me before I move on and ask you another question, what is the website that people can go to actually if they're seeing this and they're already interested in contributing?
Sure. That's FHAINTL, so like Freedom Home Academy International, FHAINTL.org. And they'll be able to look at the site. They'll be able to get information about our curriculum, all our instructors, what we do, our goals and aspirations, our mission, the schools that we have established so far, as well as the schools that we have planned to site. Like I said before, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, actually Miami Gardens, definitely Atlanta, Detroit, where I'm from, born and raised in Detroit. So, and I want to stress that, because I know when people, let me just back up. right now, you know, they're asking for money. I'm not asking for money. I'm not copping pleas, because right now, you know, Afrikan Centered Schools, you know, is given sort of a bad name, you know, but I want to emphasize a couple of things. We are on the ground working every day. So this is our 12th year running and operating the Afrikan Centered School, independent Afrikan Centered School. It's not a charter. We're not getting any funds from any outside state agencies. This is tuition-based, 100% tuition-based school. We have our first eight students, including my son. You know, they've skipped over 8th grade. We had some that didn't go to high school with me. They went on to some of the best public high schools in the state, the Whitney Youngs and the Walter Payton. So they were able to do that by skipping over 8th grade, and they took their selective enrollment. People that's from Chicago took their selective enrollment a year early and was able to, do these things. One of my students has a scholarship at MIT, who's going in the fall, actually going early in the summer. We have a couple of students graduating from that original eight that I had in my basement, and now starting to matriculate into the college scene. And they're all doing well, Howard universities, FAMUs. So they're doing well. Yeah, we're not just asking you to donate to our cause because we're trying to do something. We're not in the implementation stage. We're on the ground every day.
I want to ask you about that actually. And everybody, I'm talking to Marcus Klein from Freedom Home Academy International. I'm gonna tell you what blew me away, man, was when my manager Michelle came back to me, because we had reached out to, make the donation, and I didn't know you, but I just knew what you were doing. I just wanted to help in any way we could, so we talked about you a lot. And I said, I need to meet this brother one day because I'm up here talking about him, so I should probably know the guy I'm talking about, but I really,
right.
Check this out, man. So she came back, and first thing I asked was, I said, look, was he cool with us supporting him? Because, not everybody, black folks, we get divided very easily. We become scared of each other. Some black men are even scared of each other. So I was like, is he even cool with the fact that I'm supporting him? Because there may be some people who say, I don't want this, I don't like this guy, I don't agree with what he says, stuff like that. Because I don't have a ton in Chicago. I have a lot of people in Chicago, especially bougie Negro. I don't mix well with that Michelle Barack crowd. I don't feel like they do anything for the city. So first question I asked was, I said, look, was he cool with us giving the money? She said, yeah, he was cool. And then I said, what's he gonna do with it? And I was blown away when she said, oh, he's using that money to make the down payment on another school in Atlanta. Now, here's what's fascinating. I want you to talk about this, man. Now, from what a lot of us have been told and have heard, which I don't think is accurate, it takes $1 million to start a school. You need 1.5 million. And I'm not making fun of nobody's plan. I mean, there are schools out there that do get that kind of weight, but I don't think black folks have the ability, the time to, in this critical juncture of where we are with our kids. I don't think we have the time to say, or the ability to say, oh, I need $1 million before I can open a school. I'm of the mindset of the former slaves that started Simmons College in Kentucky, where they just said, all we need is a building and some books. And we don't even halfway need the building. We need the people that will teach the kids. So I love what you were doing, man. That's I want to get more. So tell me about that, man. This mindset where you said, I need $5,000 and get started. Please speak to that, if you don't mind.
Well, just so the listeners and the viewers will understand something, I'm 49 in July. July 29th, I turned 49. So I came up, graduated high school, 87. Left New Jersey in 93, came to Chicago in 93. But just so you know, I published a magazine called Frontline for 15 years out of Chicago. Frontline magazine was a political magazine done grassroots style. I did it on copy machines. We were able to do 5,000 every month. We did final issues. We did in 2 different languages, French and Spanish. So they were all over the planet, right? So the good thing with that is I was able to fortify some very strong relationships in the Afrikan Centered community. The bad thing is, I made some enemies for obvious reasons. But when I did the school, I was able to start a school because the people had an understanding of what I was about. I wasn't new on the scene, so it wasn't like they were giving their children to me and they had no knowledge of my pedigree or my track record. So it wasn't as difficult, but it wasn't as easy as some may feel. Now, going to the financial part of it, it doesn't take a lot of money to do it. We talked about over the phone in our last meeting too, how we break down the model. And we've been able, over the years, we've been able to shine up the model because it was rough. The model was very rough when we first started. But the second thing is, I'm going to backtrack just a little bit. We weren't, since we had no background in education, my wife and I, it wasn't easy for us to think and talk our way out of doing it, right? Sometimes we get bombarded with the things that can go wrong. So we, not having a background, like, as I'm instructing and starting the school now, I have a lot of teachers, public school teachers will bring their children to me. And they talk to me about, Marcus, do you do this and this and those type of terms I know nothing about, because that's not what I do. So I said, no, this is what I do. She's like, wow. They always say, wow, I never thought that would work. Because, when you go to school to learn things, you learn from a European perspective, unless you go to African school, of course. But most of those older heads or my elders that taught for 25 years, they see what I do and on paper and say, no, this can't be done, because it goes against everything that we've been taught, with my PhDs and things that nature. So, but anyway, financially, it works because a lot of things that we believe we need, we really don't. And once we get into the classroom and once we figure out the reasons why we need to teach in the first place, a lot of those financial aspirations, they get put to the side, and we go right and surgically start removing what needs to be removed from the child, and then injecting in first culture and the academic rigor, because the academic rigor coupled with culture is most important. Now, a lot of schools, and I know not just from hearing it, being in the classroom, a lot of our African Centered schools are culture, but they don't apply the academic rigor that's going to take a child, say, for instance, that goes to Skinner. Why would a child going to Skinner, supposedly one of the better schools in the city of Chicago, elementary, why would he want to go to a Freedom Home Academy now? What are you offering Freedom Home Academy that Skinner is outside of culture? Drumming, circle in the morning. What kind of academic rigor would take him from that school? That's what we had to concentrate on. So we did a pre-med program from first graders to 12th grade. We did a pre-law, first grade to 12th grade, and an engineering program, right? Now, going back, those elders, looking at it on paper, they told me in my face, those are ones that I love and respect. Bob Marks, you can't do this. For one, the vocabulary is too much. Now, these are people not being critical of me, just telling me what they believe from, what they've taught. And these are people in the academic arena who's very respected. This can't be done, Bob. You can't do it because of vocabulary, and how are you going to break the classrooms down? What about students who can't read? So all that, so we were able to do that. And we have to overcompensate because, I'm an African male. Parents are not used to paying tuition to an African male. They're used to paying tuition to whites. Then at best, or at minimum, African sisters. But men, so now you're giving me tuition. So that's a whole nother show. It's a challenge paying me now because, they're not used to that. I mean, it's a challenge. But to break through all that, the bottom line is, give me a child for 6 months. 6 months. We can run them through the whole program. In 6 months, you'll see a drastic change. And not only his development, but how he believes and how he perceives himself on the planet. And once you lay that groundwork, you can cultivate that, forever. And the converse is true too. The state cultivates the negative behavior just like we can cultivate the positive. So we have to realize that, not only are we at war, and we need to use war terms. Terminology has to be, very distinct with the youth too, as we teach them. But yeah, I mean, that's it. It doesn't take a lot of money. We can do it, like I say, the 5,000, we can run it. Now, the motto, my business guys I went to school with, they tell me, I don't know how you're making it. You got to have 6 months. 6 months of salaries ready, 6 months of rent ready before you even start. And I don't operate like that. And it's not a perfect system. I'm not gonna sit and tell you, oh yeah, it runs smooth. All I need is fun. Oh no. It's bumps and bruises from day one to 5 minutes ago. It's always something. But
well, let me throw this at you, man. Look, let me say this. First of all, I love what you're saying. I agree with you 100%. I remember I only had one conversation in my life with Tyler Perry. And I don't even watch his movies, you know, it's not really my type of thing, but the man knows how to make a movie, knows how to serve his audience, and he's been very successful at it in his way. And one of the things is that we talked about the beef he had with Spike Lee and other filmmakers who kind of criticize his movies, and some of the criticism's legit. I'm not going to say it's not, because, you know, people have different feelings about it, but here's what's interesting. He said the best thing that ever happened to me as a filmmaker was that I did not go to film school. He said, because, you know, I didn't spend all my time learning all these rigid structures in terms of how I see things. I just see what makes sense. Like if somebody that went to film school says it should cost $1 million to shoot that scene, he said, my common sense would say, no, we could probably shoot it for 50,000. You know what I mean? So you just know you build in these ways to cut, take shortcuts, figure things out, make $1 out of 15 cents. You know what I mean? Like music. Like black people make the best music in the world, and most of the people who make the music never went to music school.
That's right.
Right? Why was it? Well, back in the day, you know, when we invented rock and roll and jazz and the blues and everything else, we just went with feel. You know what I mean? Like okay, like I know technically the word cornbread is not supposed to rhyme with sunshine, but I know how to make it rhyme to make it sound good on this song. And right. A person who's caught up in the grammar of it all would be like, you can't rhyme those two words, right? Right. So I think that's what needs to be applied in education, is that really that black man magic, that black woman magic. You know what I mean? Like we got a magical ability in our DNA. Just from the fact, I mean, we look at what we done survived and gone through, middle passage, all of that. We made it through all of that. So that's right. You can't tell me we ain't got something special in our blood. That's right. That makes us great. But what happens is that people don't understand that the only thing worse than no education is to get a whole bunch of miseducation. You know, and we got a whole lot of folks that have invested all their life into learning how to do everything in the wrong way, in the way white folks do it. You know what I mean? Right. Well, they telling you need 10 million to pull this off, but they got the 10 million. You ain't got it. They got it. Right. You don't have a Marcus Klein creativity to be able to say, no, I think we can do that for 10,000. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I really think that a lot of times when you're not trained in something, but you're trained in like the fundamentals of critical thought. Like I love how that first video I put up there was critical thinking. When you know critical thinking, you can come from the outside in and say, okay, I know you're telling me I'm supposed to do it this way, but that don't make no sense. Why don't we do it that way? Like when I first got into media, I did not know anything about media. I had never been trained as a journalist. I was trained as a business person. So I was able to do stuff with no money that my media friends thought would take hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I'd be like, no, if you do it this way and do it that way. And what I found was that it was just coming in from an outsider's point of view. So I think for black folks, what I have found is that the most innovative black people, the most capable ones who come up with the greatest models, like what you've done with Freedom Homeschool Academy International, typically tend to be the outsiders. You know, it ain't the people that went to Harvard and Stanford and all of that stuff. That's wonderful. God bless you if you go to Stanford. Ain't nobody making fun of you. But there is a special skill you gain when you're just trying to figure out how to make it work. And then also when you're faced with, you know, just that need to survive. Like, okay, I got a critical problem. It's like, our baby's lives on the line. Let's figure this out. It pushes you to a level that you can't compare to nothing else. Well, you know what? It's interesting you said that. It makes a lot of sense because when I got out of school, I was introduced to one of my mentors. His name was Steve Copley. So while studying, I was able, being from Chicago, I was able to study like right next to him and showing me how to research, right? So starting the magazine, you know, doing lectures, never spoken in front of crowds, doing lectures with the magazine, right? So the same way I researched families and organizations in the 90s, I find myself doing the same thing as I teach to children, right? It's just a matter of finding out the who, the why, and as they say, you know, who benefits. So those same strategies, as you talk about, you know, learning structures. My learning structure wasn't taught at Rutgers or at Oakwood College. It was taught
here in living rooms in the city of Chicago on the South Side, you know, based on, like you said, a need. The need for us is, the needs are, of course, vast. And my school isn't going to touch and complete and fulfill all the needs of African people. But what we try to do is give the children and plan for them 15, 20 years down the road, understanding that if they can't critically analyze structures being organizations, platforms, or whatever, they won't be able to survive here, especially the next 15, 20 years. So critical analysis is one of the, if not the most important, imperative, I should say, facets of education at this point. And implementing critical analysis into all subjects: chemistry, biology, history, U.S. history, African history, everything. So they should always be confronted with issues, but as it relates to us. So if you're teaching a program, even with business, you know, you have to teach gentrification. You know, it has to be pragmatic. Okay, so you want to be a millionaire? Oh yeah, Bob Marks, I want to make $1 million. Okay, cool. So how do businesses that you just walk past getting the bus to school, that area on the corner, how does his business affect 25, 30 houses in the community? How does gentrification affect 20, 30 houses in the community and your mother? How does gentrification affect your mom and your aunt? Because if it's not pragmatic, if they can only identify with money. They can only identify how much money it makes. But cool, if we can, and we have been able to, you know, scale it down, piecemeal it to the youngin. Store on the corner, how does that affect the economics in your neighborhood? Why are there dilapidated buildings when we pass down Stony Island 79th? Why they aren't in the suburbs? Why they sell liquor here and don't sell liquor? Gotta break it down. You know what I'm saying? So learning isn't just like what we get out of a book. It has to be very pragmatic. It has to be relatable. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, they're gonna get bored with it. Even with me, you know.
Well, you know, I was bored in school. I mean, I was a terrible student, and nothing in school seemed relatable to me. It all seemed very weird and very white and very foreign. And, you know, and I almost lost all of my potential because the thing about it is that in order for somebody to be good at something, like you could be introducing LeBron James, a baby LeBron James, to the game of basketball. But if you introduce it in the wrong context, like if you make it a painful experience, something that is awkward for him, something where he does not feel the basics of just love and acceptance or whatever it is, and instead has a lot of negative emotions, he will walk away from basketball and never spend any time becoming a good basketball player, right?
That's right.
So, you know, that's what it was for me. You know, school was introduced to me in a way that was so terrible that, you know, I would come home. I mean, I'd have D's and F's all over my report card. I never made an A in anything until I got out of high school, until I got to college. You know, and so also, you know,
what made you flip the switch?
When I was 18, and I had a baby, and I realized that I had no choices. I had no options. I had to move. My father put me out of the house. He was determined. He's like, "You're gonna be a man. You know, a man does not live under his mama's roof till he's old and gray. Get out, go do whatever you got to do." And so I was on this campus. I had this baby coming, and I knew that I wanted to do something with my life. I knew I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I knew I didn't want to get pimped. I knew I didn't want to be broke. And so basically I had just heard that education was a way to get away from that. And so I just decided that I would take all the energy I put into sports. See, sports taught me fundamentals of success. Sports taught me that, you know, if you want to set a goal, it is to win a championship. You work on your goal consistently. You know what I mean? You practice harder than the next man. You know, basic things that apply in everything you do in life. You know, so I just applied what I learned in sports to what I was trying to do academically. And then also I had worked before. I had, you know, fast food restaurant jobs and all that, where I was working 8, 9, 10 hours a day. And I said, okay, if I can go slave for this white guy 8 hours a day flipping burgers, I can study for 4 hours a day, 5 hours a day. That's easy. You know, that was my mindset. And I did not realize, again, like you were talking about, sometimes when you're not trained in advance, you don't know what's possible and what's not. So you do the impossible, not even knowing you ain't supposed to be able to do it. Well, I didn't know. Most of my friends did not study 5 hours a day. that's considered extreme, right? But to me, I was like, but if I'm gonna go and I'm gonna work a job, you know, in some company, and they're gonna have me working 8 or 9 or 10 hours a day, why wouldn't I put the same amount of time into my own future? That's basic. My logic was so I did that. I mean, you go to college, you study 5, 6, 7 hours a day, you're gonna make straight A's with flying colors. You're gonna blow it past water, and that's what happened. And it really stunned me because I was like, wait a minute, I'm a fraud right now. I felt like a fraud for 3 years because I was like, man, like I'm not really a smart guy. I'm not a straight A student. I'm pretending. I'm making straight A's, but that's not. Eventually, I felt like, man, they're gonna
expose you or something, right?
They're gonna expose me as the dummy that I am. I swear to God, for almost 4 years, I felt like I did not belong in those scholarship banquets and all. I was getting all the scholarships. Everybody's like, "Oh, boy, you so smart," and I was thank you, but really deep down, I'm thinking I ain't that smart. But then I look back on it, I'm thinking, wait a minute, I was smart all the time. Just nobody ever told me that. You know, and so when I think about what would have gave me the best education in the world, Marcus, I swear to God, it wouldn't have mattered if I went to the best school in the world or the worst, public, private. None of that would have mattered. But what I needed when I was a kid is if you would give me these basic things at a high level when I was a kid, I would have been able to do anything. I would have been going to Harvard by the age of 13. And those 3 things were this. Reading, my grandmother called them the 3 R's, reading, writing, and arithmetic. So if you had me reading on a regular basis, had me writing a lot so I could express what I was thinking in writing, and then doing lots and lots of math so I could learn just strategic thinking, calculation, logic, all of that. And then the 4th piece was just love. I needed love, you know, because as a kid, I didn't feel like nobody loved me. You know what I mean? I didn't feel like those teachers at that school loved me. You know, but when I was around people that loved me, like a football coach, I would give you the best that I had.
That's right.
If I was around a teacher that would put her arm around me and say, come on, baby, here, eat some chicken, you know what I mean, or whatever, and she would show me how to do math, I wanted to learn that math because I knew that this person cared about me. You know what I mean? And that's what a lot of our kids don't get. They ain't getting love in these school systems. And that's why they are rejecting everything. Now, I'm not saying the other stuff doesn't matter. The other training doesn't matter. If you take a kid who is in a space where they're reading constantly, reading everything they get their hands on, constantly writing, expressing themselves, constantly doing math, and they're receiving lots of love and support, that kid can go learn anything that he wants to learn.
Right. He has a foundation.
Right, a foundation. If he wants to be a doctor, he can go learn biology because he can read all the books. If he wants to become an engineer, he learns all the mathematics because he's been doing all the math. You know, if he wants to learn history, whatever it is. So I think at the end of the day, man, I think that what happens with education, and I'm going to be quiet because I want you to do the talking, man, but we have taken a simple problem and we've made it complex. Like we have acted like it is like they talk about trying to educate Black kids like it is more complicated than building a rocket ship and putting a manned mission to Mars. Like they really talk about educating Black kids like it's impossible. No matter how many billions of dollars we pour into it, these Negroes, these little monkeys are so stupid that we can't make them learn. And that is wrong. It doesn't cost a lot of money. It is not complicated. And the reason I know that is because that is what you are doing right now. And so please share with people, man. Tell me about some of the great things you're doing with your kids. I'd like to hear that. But go ahead, please. Whatever you like.
Well, when you spoke about the reasons why, your last 2 sentences, the first university that taught teachers was Rockefeller University, Columbia College, right? Columbia College, New York. That was the first university in America to teach teachers. It was called a teachers college, Rockefeller University. So now it's pretty much the same. You know, you have to go through a certain type of line in order to get the prestigious title of being a teacher. So as you move up that ladder to be a teacher, you have to, you know, learn some types of disciplines. Those disciplines don't work for African children. Our learning styles are different. You know, we learn differently. So we have to do something different. Now, does that say that all the students that go to public schools are going to come out wrong? Absolutely not. But the majority of us now, coupled with the fact that we're not eating properly, coupled with the fact that we're not giving a proper foundation of phonics, mathematics, critical analysis. By the time we get to the 5th grade, that's why the statistics show 5th grade, the reading scores for 5th grade correlates with the number of prison beds. And if they can't read by 5th grade, the prison beds, the state knows those students more likely are going to prison. Why? Because they can't read by 5th grade. The only thing they can do is hop on a block and sell crack or whatever. So they understand that. So everything that we do is systematic. So in turn, the state does systematic things as well, and that being one of them. But what we do at Freedom Home Academy, even at the School of Literacy, there's a healthy dose of reading. We start our 2 and 3 year olds out with the first 500 sight words, right? So instead of basic sight words, we use the SAT. We use SAT words. And the reason why is I can teach 5 different phonetic rules in one word, as opposed to teaching, the traditional cat, sat, rat, and dog. So if we look at the word pneumonia, right? So if I write pneumonia on the board, if we know the sound of the P, the N-E-U, M-O-I-A. So all those blends make a different sound. So I teach the longer words as opposed to the short words. Now, there's some issues with that. Some of the parents feel, Bible Marcus is too much words for my students. They can't do it. My baby girl was up midnight learning her vocabulary words, right? So those students, it actually filters out those hard workers. This morning I had a class, my 9 o'clock class. We have some very rigorous words. They're healthy. They're very robust, right? The ones that raised their hand, yesterday we were off, so they were working. They come in Tuesday, out of a classroom of 17, 18, I got a good 10, that's ready. They're ready on Tuesday. They haven't seen me since Friday, but they come in. By Marcus, I did my words yesterday. They're ready. So what I tell the parents, well, if little brother sitting in front of your daughter, if he knows all 20, why your daughter can't? The homework. Homework is essential. The hours that you put in are direct correlation with the success of the coursework. Plain and simple. You got to put in work. So those students can move up very quickly. We have 2 grades in the classroom. 1 and 2, 3s and 4s are together, 5s and 6, and so on. The reason for that is the students who always have their hand up. So when parents look at the videos, they're like, oh, all the students there, they're participating, they're vibrant. Why is that? Because they feed off of the students who aren't ready, they feed off of those who are. So if 15 are sharp, the other 10 in the classroom, they're not, they will be. Over, maybe I will say maybe 2 or 3 months of that classroom, we try to move them up. We assess every Friday. So they have an opportunity to move up a different grade every semester. They can move up. So when they come in, we assess, we see where they are in math and reading, and based on their movement and their ability, to get through the course, they have ability to move up. So we have some students are 7 to 8 years old. In my econ group, they're doing physics. Those are ones I put, on the videos weekly. That's an 8 and 9 year old group doing 5th and 6th grade work, and they're also doing physics. So they're doing a pre-med program as well. We have a pre-med, like I say, from 1st all the way up to 12th grade. Dissections. They dissected the starfish last week. I think we did a cow's eye week before that. We did a sheep's heart before that. The school is actually housed inside of a medical school on the south side of Chicago. So we get access to second-year medical students. Already, we got 2 surgeons who come in twice a week, and they teach the biochemistry, they teach the physiology, they teach the dissection. The same way with the pre-law. We have a sister Miria. Mira, she teaches the pre-law courses. So they have pre-law from grades 4th all the way up to 12th grade. And you know what that is. That's heavy writing. That's a lot of critical analysis in the pre-law, a lot of debate, expressing ideas through words and through written text. We also have a pre-engineering program where they build, something like they call it STEM, but we're doing a lot of lab work. So a lot of lab work in the pre-engineering program. Of course, we have languages. We do the Kiswahili, we do the French, Mandarin Chinese, and Spanish, geography, science, economics. Definitely use your program. I was checking it out when you showed me. I'm definitely using that because the business program, it has to be robust. So they're learning stock market analysis, they're trading on Forex, things of that nature. But like what I was mentioning earlier, it has to be more inclusive to community. They have to understand how the community that they live in, directly across the street from the school, how does that person benefit from the market? Does the market have an effect on everyday people? What are you going to do when you get your money? We're not trying to build brothers and sisters to go out and spend more money with Europeans. The first thing you do is go buy them a Cadillac. We ain't trying to do the status quo. We want them to be able to not just understand how your money works, but understand also how the money affects. So, there's, also a 3-pronged method that we use. If they're not ready for college, we want to send them to the entrepreneur, down the entrepreneurial path. My son included, he wants to start his own business. He want to go to medical school, but he want to open up a hospital. So, we have to cater to that piece and also a trade. So vocation would be the 3rd prong of it. College, university, a trade, entrepreneurship. We try to meet, all 3 facets effectively. But, we need space. So that's why we're looking for a new school now, because where we are, we kind of outgrowing it. So, of course, the maths and the chemistry and all that. But for the most part, we want to put our focus is on, of course, the pre-med, the pre-law, and of course the business. So that's what we kind of focused on now.
Well, I love it, man. I love it. And I want everybody to know, if you like what you're hearing and you like the way this brother's running this school, you should consider, I hope you will consider making a donation to the school. It's FHAINTL.org. That stands for Freedom Home Academy International. That's FHAINTL.org. Somebody please type that in so you can see it. FHAINTL.org. And I want to, I made my donation before, but I'm actually going to continue to support and to be a part of the growth of the school, because I believe in what's going on here. And here's the reason why I reached out to Mark. I think Mark is, I think you know this, but I'll share this with everybody and I'll repeat it so why, what my thought is. It just kind of goes down to, if you're trying to solve that important problem, how do you educate Black kids? How do you educate them at the highest levels? How do you make sure that they're educated in a way where they can compete with the rest of the world? Well, we got the model out here. It's like if you have a disease, a virus that's spread everywhere. And unfortunately, a lot of our communities, the virus of ignorance is pretty broad. Well, if you have the antidote, all you need is a couple drops of the antidote, and then you replicate the antidote. You replicate that. So we have the antidote. The antidote is schools like yours. They don't cost a lot to build. The model's easily replicated in cities all across this country. It's achieving goals where our children aren't just being educated as well as European kids. They're actually being educated better than European kids. So I want everybody to just kind of join me and kind of imagine a world where we had, 3,000 of these schools all across the United States, or 2,000 of them, or whatever it is. I don't even know what the annual operating. Let me ask you, Marcus, can you give me a ballpark of what, maybe the annual operating budget would be for an FHA school with, say, 100 students or whatever the case may be? What would be a ballpark number?
30. Annual?
Yeah, annual operating budget. Everybody all
120,000.
Okay, so 100.
And that's everything. So we can break that down to our instructors. At 100, you want your classroom. You want your classroom to look like no less than 12 students. So you're going to operate with between 15 instructors. 7 of those can be part-time. So you're looking at 8 full-time. So just your instructors, you're looking at between 20 and 24,000 a month. That's at 100 students, right?
Okay.
Now we throw in rent. My rent is steep, so I'm not even gonna mention how much my rent. But people can kind of do some simple deductions. They can do some simple deductions and figure out what that is. But yeah, we can do between $20,000 and $24,000 a month just for a teacher's salary, and that's pretty comparable. $35,000 an hour, $40,000 an hour for instructors. Some of those instructors have to do 2 or more courses. So we're looking at, they have a bachelor's degree. Bachelor's degree is our minimum. So you do a bachelor's degree, you can teach elementary everything. You can teach elementary science, English, and mathematics. So they can do they can teach 3 courses, 1 of each. So now you got your math wiped out. You got a science instructor, a business degree, and a bachelor's degree in sciences. You can do science up to chemistry. You can do science you can do math up into algebra. So you have another science teacher that can wipe out, 2 different classes. But that 22,000, you can do that with 100 students a month. Okay. So you multiply that times 12. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's about $250,000 a year, approximately, a little bit less than 300.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So let's say
a little bit less.
I want to lay the numbers out for people so we can kind of do a very quick, rough, dirty calculation to try to get an idea of what this kind of thing would take, on that level. So if each school with 100 kids would cost about $300K, and let's say you had 1,000, these schools around the country, 1,000, which I don't know if 500 would do it, or 1,000 or whatever, but 1,000 would cost about $300 million a year, about $300 million per year to support. Now I want everybody to pay attention now. If you look at how much money Black people gave to Disney with the Black Panther, when they put the Black Panther movie out, we gave them about $300 to $400 million at least. And some would say as much as over $500 million of the $1.2 billion that they made. So, if we supported African centered schools as much as we support Disney and these white folks who don't even like you, in fact, ABC is owned by Disney. ABC has Roseanne on the air. Roseanne just got took off the air because this lady just today, she got took off the air because she said something about Valerie Jarrett being a monkey, or something like that. Like she said something that was really racist. She made a racist statement.
I didn't get.
Yeah, it just happened, man. It just had somebody just sent me the message, bro. So you give $300 million to a bunch of racists, but will you give $300 million to yourselves? And here's the thing. Look, if you had, if you had just say 100,000, or let's say 10,000 Black folks just committing $100 a month to supporting the schools, then you're talking about a lot of money. You're talking about what was it, 10,000. 100, let's see, what does that be, 100,000? So that's $1 million a month toward the operating budget, right there. So that's huge. That's $12 million a year. That may not fund the whole 1,000 schools, but it would fund at least, a couple hundred of them, 500 of them.
But see, you have a business acumen, right? So, ordinarily, brothers and sisters, and I speak with them every day. I'm not talking about something I'm guessing on. I speak with them every day. They don't really look at the numbers like that, even though you're correct. But when it comes down to a viable options for the brother on the street who claim he can't afford to send his son, I get that too, $500 a month, it's a little too steep. So we say we do this then, right? So the schools actually make money. So when we talk about those numbers, $20,000 a month plus my rent or whatever, we still multiplying the tuition times the number of students I have, and I come out, the school comes out making money at the end of the month, right? So instead of us taking that money and doing something that won't benefit the school with it, we'll say, well, we'll buy a machine that produces paper towels and toilet paper, right? The machine is $35,000. So we would have bought a toilet paper machine and paper machine 6 months ago, right? So instead of asking a parent or asking people on the show, give us money, what we'll do is we'll produce the toilet paper and the paper towels and you buy it. Why? Because you use it every day. What's next? Soap, dish detergent. When we produce those things, you're almost forced. And if we give it to you cheap, quality is good. We're giving a product with good quality, cheaper price, and you're supporting the school that your sons and daughters go to. So we have 100 customers, 100 parents, 100 students. That's time two. Mostly we're looking at maybe like 250 people that's going to support the product. So we ain't copping please now. We're not begging for money. Come on, give me some dough. Nah, we're producing things, Nick, because some parents, they like, well, man, I'm already giving you $500 a month. Now you want some more money. So we have to find ways that's going to make the school money and that's going to look good for the parents, because they, the parents are skeptics, man. They're very cynical. And that goes back to, being an African male. They're very cynical of me. Like, they hold me to standard. They don't hold, the European that they just sent their child to, different standards. But it's cool because we overcompensate. So whatever he was doing down the street, like sister told me yesterday, on Friday, where's my syllabus? I didn't get my syllabus when I started, right? So the parent next to her will say, my son never got a syllabus when he went to so-and-so. He only in the first grade. So she told the other lady, she was like, well, Bob Marcus promised me a syllabus, but they never got one at the other schools. Schools not giving syllabi for first graders, but they want me to give one, right? So that's just an example. But it's cool because sometimes we have to overcompensate. But just going back to, what I was saying as far as, the school being a hub and looking at the parents as customers for different products that we want to produce. The toilet paper was just one of them. The students are going to be working that. The high school student will be working with the toilet paper, the wet wipes, the diapers. The machines can do that. So we have to start being more creative in the way. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about me. We have to start being more creative in the ways that we invest, as opposed to, we're able to buy some buildings, whatever, real estate, and that's cool too. But products, we said 2018, we had to create something. Like, what are we going to produce that's going to allow us to generate more revenue so we can open up more schools? Because open up the schools, that's the objective. How are we going to do it? That 5,000 came right on time in order for us to, to do the next school. The next school is always the objective. What city? Mm-hmm. Omaha, Nebraska. Omaha, Nebraska. The sister wants to do one in Omaha. She owns the Malcolm X Center. Malcolm was born in Omaha, so she has a center there. Wants to come in. Got a sister in Memphis. Her family owns like 5 daycares. They're not doing well with teaching children. I went to school with her. She wants to bring us to Memphis. So there's always a new city that wants a new school, but we need the revenue. We need the resources to go down there, set up shop, the numbers, the marketing, and all that in order to do the school. But again, it doesn't take a lot.
Well, let me jump in and ask you this. So how can people, if they want to open, I know you mentioned that you help people open Freedom Homeschool in their own city. If somebody's watching and they're educated and they want to be a part of this, and the reason I mentioned the donation thing was because I do agree with you. I think making the money by selling a product is easier than making the money through donation. I only mention it because there's people, believe me, I see them who have extra money. And I can go buy a movie ticket to Disney. I can give some money. I can sponsor a child or something like that. You know what I mean? But you're right, though. I do think that selling a product is easier because then it's not charity anymore, and it makes it for an easier transaction. But let me ask you this. So if people want to open one of your schools in their city, who do they contact? How would they begin the process?
Well, we have a survey online. So when they go to freedomhomeacademyinternational.org, there's a button at the bottom. You'll make an appointment, and then we'll send you out a survey. Because, like, literally, Doc, we get like maybe 15 or 20 a month. And a lot of those aren't as serious as others. The most time that we spend is actually finding a facility. We spend more time doing that. But once we find a facility, it becomes, a build out, engineer, set it up, license with the city, and we moving like 60 days. 60 days is, and that's That's on the far end. That's the conservative number. 60. We can go up to like 90 days and we open. Like right now, literally, if somebody called me tomorrow and they had a place, of course, we have to do a little research on that particular individual, though. But if they have a place already, a build out, maybe 60 days or maybe a 90-day build out, we go on the ground. We see what the cost is for average daycares in that area. We set tuition based on the space. We'll find out exactly what grades to start with, based on the space, 3,000 or 4,000 square feet. We'll do maybe a pre-K to 4th grade. Up to 10,000 square feet, we can do a K through 12, based on the space. If it's a gym, so all those things, all those variables, of course, are important. But a person with space, we can go, no problem. 5,000 or 6,000, we want to pay our rent, first month, last month rent. We want to pay a month worth of instructors, chairs, tables. We have those here. We get them down the ship anywhere. So it doesn't take a lot of money, Doc. It's just a matter of finding brothers and sisters on the ground who are dedicated, and they want to see schools being built, Afrikan Centered schools being built. Okay.
Well, I want everybody. Did you mention how people could contact you? Like what email address they can use or phone?
Yeah. They can go to Freedom Home Academy. This is the website. Freedom Home Academy, the number 2 at gmail.com.
Okay. Freedom Home Academy, number 2.
Yeah. And then, of course, going to the website, hitting that button for appointments. I set up appointments all the time for people that's very interested in opening up schools. We are, like I mentioned before, we aren't doing franchises. So if you want to open a school up, we have to, of course, we'll be paying the director, we'll be paying the instructors. It'll be a Freedom Home Academy venture. We're not franchising. Yeah.
All right. Well, I love it, man. I think it's great. And everybody who's watching, I want you, if you want to support all of this, what I would ask you to do as a standard is maybe pick a number that when you're already giving money to white folks, and just give a fraction of that to something that relates to our people, at least a fraction. I would like for it to be more, but even 10, 20%. And so pick a number, look at the amount of money. The average American spends $3,000 a year on fast food. That's, I don't know how much that is per month. What is that? Is that what, $250 a month, something like that? So my thought is, why not sponsor half of a scholarship at Freedom Home Academy International, make a consistent donation that matches the amount of money for fast food, right? Yeah. Or when the Black Panther movie came out, most of our kids spent well over $100. Going to the movies, taking the kids, taking your girlfriend or your wife or your husband, buying the $5 popcorn, and going to dinner afterward. Why not treat this what the brothers doing here the way you treat the excitement you have when the Black Panther comes out with a new movie. So just show your people that same respect. Don't discriminate against your own people. Right. Don't put white folks first. The white folks are putting white folks first. Put your own people first, and consider supporting what his brother's doing. The website is FHAINTL.org. FHAINTL.org. And if you're interested in opening up a Freedom Home Academy International in your community, the homeschool network, etc., you can go to Freedom Home Academy and then the number 2 at gmail.com. That's Freedom Home Academy, the number 2 at gmail.com. So I want to say thank you very much, man. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah, to get a chance to meet you, man. I look forward to your showcase on the 9th. I'm gonna show up.
Yeah. Make sure you tell people, so the people in Chicago come by. You're gonna be a keynote speaker. As a matter of fact, our first ever keynote speaker for our annual expo, 12th annual expo 2018, June 9th, from 1 o'clock to 3 p.m. Come on through. Dr. Boyd's gonna be speaking. Now, I always was a keynote speaker at the expo, but I mean, who else to hand the baton over to? Dr. Boyd. So I appreciate you, Baba. I just want to be real clear, man. Brothers and sisters, they always talk. I got a lot of people that talk, but when it came down to laying that bread out, you did it. I appreciate it. We're going to use it. And when we open up the school, you have your own little wing call it Dr. Boyce Watkins wing at the new school in Atlanta, man. So, I appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. Stay strong too.
Same to you, man. I'm humbled and I'm honored, brother, and I do not take this lightly. And I am so excited about what you're doing, man. And you got a teammate. I'm with you. It's like we like the Philadelphia Eagles lining up on the football field trying to win a Super Bowl. You know what I mean? You play quarterback. Yeah. I'll try to block for you, brother, because that's how you win the game. So. Most relationships, I'm gonna end by saying this: most relationships that we have as African men become severed based on money. That's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen with me, brother. So let's remain clear. No gossip. We ain't playing around. We about business, about building schools for our people. So anything other than that, I don't want to hear it. Right on.
Thanks again, brother. I appreciate it. Asante.
Same to you, my brother. Same to you, man. And let's go put that ball in the hole, man. Let's score some points for because the community needs leaders like yourself, man. And there are tens of thousands of children that will benefit from the work you're doing right now, man. And so I want to thank you and also thank everybody who's watching. Go support the brother, FAKINTL.org. Hopefully some donations will come through, and I look forward to seeing you on the night, brother. Thank you so much.
I see you then. Be safe, brother. Oh, happy birthday.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Coming up. Same day. Okay. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Peace.
Later.